guys, this is Fantasy News and Brews. My name's Garrett.
And I'm Johnny.
And today we're with Alex Barutha over from Rotowire. I'll let him introduce himself, but as always, we're so excited to have him. He's so insightful. So, yeah, go ahead.
Hey guys, I'm Alex, NBA assistant editor at Rotowire, and as always, I'm happy to be here.
Sweet. So, last video we talked about 1 through 5 of the top fantasy forwards in the league, ending with Zion, starting with Giannis. And today we're just going to finish up that list 6 through 10. And we're going to just talk about if we think they're going to rise, fall, give our analysis, whatever. Let's just hop right in. Let's get this thing done. Number 6.
All right, number 6. And this is measured by total fantasy points. But sitting at number 6, we have Kawhi Leonard with a total of 1,114 fantasy points. The thing about Kawhi is that I was kind of surprised about is he is playing back-to-backs this year, which is like good for fantasy, good for the team as well. It's averaging 34.5 minutes, about 27 points, almost 6 boards, 5 assists, 1.7 steals, shooting 50% from the field. And he's missed the last couple of games due to a bruised lower leg injury or something like that. But when he's out there, he's very productive, plays the big minutes. He runs the offense along with Paul George. Who has also been dealing with some injuries, but I don't see him falling, especially if he continues to play back-to-backs. I think that's huge.
Yeah, as long as he's healthy, which is always the main concern. Like if Kawhi Leonard slips in drafts, it's just because people don't trust his health. Which is understandable, based on like the knee injuries had the past couple of years. But yeah, 46 fantasy points a game. Again, when he's out there, he's one of the best guys. Talk about someone with a high floor too. Like you mentioned, him and Paul George kind of run the offense, and he's pretty much a guarantee for like 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists at minimum. And he can get you a few steals and blocks as well, which are always really valuable in points leagues, especially if they're usually worth 2 to 3 points in points leagues, but if they're worth 3, then he's especially valuable.
Do you think Kawhi can hop over Zion or Ingram and get that 4 spot or 5?
I think so.
Or even passing up Julius Randle. I mean,
if he plays the games, if he can stay healthy, I think he can. He's played 4 games less than Zion and is only behind by about 15, 16 points.
Yeah, I think Kawhi can definitely get up to number 4, I think, really easily, just because of like either games played or, he's not separated a ton by those guys. Passing Randall will be tough because he's down like 200 fantasy points.
Right.
But I think he could, over the course of the whole year, maybe he can make that up. But like we talked about before with Randall, same with Kawhi, I don't expect either of these guys to have any sort of real role change.
Yeah, I agree totally. Okay, yeah, let's move on. We like Kawhi. We think he's a riser as long as he plays. Number 7, my guy, Jerami Grant. As everybody knows, I'm a biased Pistons fan, so I think he'll end up number 1 at the end of the season. I think he's gonna fall a little bit. I think that there's just a bunch of really good guys behind him. So let me start off by saying the good. I think he's in a great role. I think you really couldn't ask for a better role with Derrick Rose being gone, Blake Griffin being sat. I mean, now this is pretty much Jerami Grant's team. That being said, it's not a very good team, and he does have his games where he struggles. I mean, 2 games ago he put up 43 points in 37 minutes, and then the next game he follows up a 39-minute game with 16 points, shooting 25% from the field. So he is someone who is – his ceiling is pretty low compared to everyone else on the top 10 list, which is kind of scary. But, I mean, he still has a higher ceiling than most. He's still a great fantasy asset. I'm just worried. I mean, he's on the Pistons, which it really hurts me to say it's not a great team. He's just – I don't know. I think that he is someone that I think I could see falling.
Yeah, I could see him falling too. I mean, his past 5 games, I think it is, have been like awful, just collectively. Yeah. Averaging 31 fantasy points across the past 5 games, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, but that's only 36% from the field, 31% from 3. I think, like you're right with Blake going out, this should be more of Jerami Grant's team. I guess maybe what it's coming down to is, I mean, he's played a ton of minutes. He's averaging over 36 minutes a game. And this is a role he's never had before. He's never been this kind of player before in terms of it's his team. He's handling the ball on a ton of possessions. He's the go-to guy. And I think he's gone from like a role player to this, and the constant, like there's less rest than ever with the schedule. He's playing more minutes than ever. The ball's in his hands more. It's possible he might just kind of be fatigued. And if he doesn't get any sort of rest or doesn't miss any time, he could just his performance, I think, could start decreasing a little bit.
Might flame out a little bit. Yeah, I could see it, but I'm also going to say the flip side to that. I mean, when Detroit traded for him, we got roasted by everybody. Everyone was like, why in the hell would they pay Jerami Grant, a role player, that much money? And let's be honest, he stepped into the role of being the star, and he's as a season goes, he's been great. I mean, he's definitely been better than I thought he was going to be coming in as a optimistic Pistons fan. I mean, yeah, the last couple games he's been struggling. I have a feeling there's been some internal issues with the Pistons. I mean, they basically told Blake he's not going to play anymore. They traded D Rose. There's just been a lot going on for the organization. So, I mean, maybe as things smooth out, he'll kind of keep it up, but that'll be seen coming soon because they have the Orlando Magic twice. They're not really a huge joke of the league right now, as much as I thought they'd be, but yeah, so we'll see. Next up, continue.
No, I mean, those Magic games are really good, like bounce back opportunities. I would say, like, if you're playing DFS and you're kind of thinking, like, do I play Jerami Grant? Maybe that's a spot where you play him when his price is lower and you get maybe a good bounce back spot from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 8 on the forwards list for fantasy, we have Pascal Siakam with 1,082 fantasy points. Started off the year kind of slow, the Raptors did as a team, but he was also part of that. A lot of inconsistent play, but he has been a lot better lately. Had kind of a scoring dud the other night against Minnesota. But other than that, so across the past, basically this month, so in February, he's averaging 44 fantasy points a game. That's 22.7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.1 blocks. He has finally kind of like reemerged as someone who is like taking more control of the offense. And part of this has been Kyle Lowry has been out for a while. And so they really need Siakam's like playmaking ability, and they need him to step up, and he has, which is good. But this was kind of, I think, what a lot of people were expecting from Siakam this year, and he's finally starting to trend in that direction.
And they even had him at the 5 a couple games ago, and that kind of increased his boards and all that. So it's good to see that he's, they're using him as a versatile player. He's, obviously getting the minutes.
Is he a riser or a faller to you guys?
I think he's a riser just because he started the year so slow that I would kind of expect him to keep like increasing his averages a little bit. I think if you're taking what he's done over the past like 10 games only, I would expect him to stay stable or maybe even decrease a little bit. Some of the steal and block numbers are kind of inflated. But I think overall, it wouldn't be surprising if he rose to me. But the concern for the Raptors is that everybody is saying, or most like league sources are saying, that they are going to be aggressive at the trade deadline and try to like buy.
Yeah.
Like they want someone to come in there so they can, make noise in the playoffs. And so if that happens,
I also heard Lowry might be on the out. So that's something to keep an eye on for too. Because if Lowry's out, that's going to kind of change the dynamic. But I do think that Pascal Siakam is going to jump Jerami Grant relatively soon. He's played 2 less games, and he's only behind by, he could catch him in 1 game if he balls out. So I do think that he'll at least rise to past Jerami Grant. I can't see him catching the top 6 though.
Yeah, that would be tough. Kawhi would have to, miss more time and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Injuries aside, he will have a tough time kind of cracking into that squad.
All right. Next up, we have, tell me about him.
Next up, we have number 9, Jaylen Brown, currently with 1,080 fantasy points, only 2 behind Siakam, and they've played the same amount of games. He's averaging 33 minutes, 25 and a half points, 5.5 boards, almost 4 assists a game, shooting the ball very well at 50%. Yeah, I mean, ever since I think Kemba came back, it kind of reduced his production a little bit. So in my opinion, I can see him falling. I don't think he's going to stay ahead of Jason Tatum, who is right behind him at number 10. But other than that being said, he's having a phenomenal year. Yeah, what's your input on Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown, you're right with Kemba coming back for sure. Like Kemba, when he's healthy or when he feels good and is able to like really contribute, he's going to take touches away from Brown because Brown is like kind of like their pseudo point guard a lot of times. And if Kemba's in there, it's not as easy for him. And that's like, last month in January, Jaylen Brown was at 27 points a game. This month he's at 22 points a game. And some of that is his field goal percentage and 3-point percentage are down. But I think that should have been expected. Like he wasn't going to shoot like 54 from the field and 44 from 3 all year. And he shot 80% from the free throw line in January, which is like way above his career average. So I think you're right in saying that he's someone who could trend downward for the rest of the year.
I agree. I think he's going to go down. The Celtics have been cold. You got Marcus Smart coming back potentially around the All-Star time. They also are potential buyers at the market. I know that Danny Ainge tweeted out that they're not contenders, or he released that he said that he doesn't think his team's a contender. So I do think that they're gonna maybe buy. I mean, they have to. They're in their, they have Tatum and Marcus Smart, and they need to kind of capitalize on their youth and the fact that they're building into their prime. I could see them buying, even if they don't buy. Marcus Smart coming back around the All-Star break is going to make Jaylen Brown take a hit. I can't see him rising. That being said, same analysis for Jason Tatum, although I do think Jason Tatum will stay in the top 10. I think he's going to fall a lot less.
I'll be excited to see what they decide to do before the trade deadline.
Yeah. Well, let's just move into number 10, which is Jason Tatum.
All right. Jason Tatum, number 10, currently with 1,056 fantasy points on the season. He has played 3 less games than Jaylen Brown and is only behind him by 24 fantasy points. And he is their guy. Like if it's a close game in the clutch, fourth quarter, he's going to have the ball. And I can definitely see him passing Jaylen Brown soon, maybe even Siakam. He's just the man in Boston, and that's who they're looking to build around. That's who they want running the point, even with Kemba in. Yeah, that's.
I agree, totally.
Yeah, Tatum really obviously high volume player, someone they want to be, like you mentioned, like a basically an all-star for them. He's 22, averaging 44 fantasy points a game. And his assists have gone up this month. He's at 6 assists a game this month. His scoring's gone down a little bit, but I'll expect that to bounce up just again because he's taking 21 shots a game this year. And yeah, he's kind of the next mold of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George kind of a player where it's just a wing who can handle the ball a ton, plays good defense. And that's part of it too, is he can get you 3 steals or 3 blocks on any given night. Obviously now he's likely for 3 blocks, but he did it against Atlanta the other day. Yeah, he's obviously incredible.
Yeah, he's attempted 173s and he's shooting 38%. I really think that he is just kind of category league, points league. He's a really, really nice floor play who I think that his floor is going to rise in the coming months. So I really like Tatum. I think that he's I don't know that you can even say he's a buy low, but if you can buy on him, he's one person on this list that I would try to go for.
Yeah, I mean you do. I mean, like you mentioned, any league that you're in, his stats translate to fantasy perfectly. because he's high volume, he's good percentages, and that's just almost every single superstar player or like star player is good in all kinds of leagues, unless they're like really tragically bad at something like Giannis. Yeah, right, exactly. Or same with Zion, but Zion's free throw shooting is getting better. So it's most players, but yeah, Tatum especially is good in all kinds of leagues.
Yeah, so that covers it. I mean, before we go, do you think anyone is going to like jump in the top 10 that we didn't really talk about in the coming weeks, or before we finish the season?
I mean, Durant is sitting at 17,
He's
and
bring up too.
Yeah, he's been hurt lately, but I think if he gets healthy soon and stays healthy the rest of the year, then he's someone who will jump up. We got Anthony Davis at 11, but again, he's out for like a month. He's
fallen.
Yeah, he's fallen, and Jimmy Butler missed a lot of time earlier in the year too with COVID. He's someone who could definitely jump up this list, and really fun.
Say Jimmy Butler as well.
Yeah,
Jimmy Butler and KD were my two. Honorable mention, I doubt he will, but Christian Wood has only played 17 games, and he's sitting at 29, and he really hasn't taken advantage of this whole getting rid of Harden time yet. And with Boogie on his way out, I think that I don't know if he can make it to the top 10, but I think he's going to shoot up the charts.
He should, yeah.
Returns, yeah.
Yeah, he's 42 fantasy points a game. And with they're getting rid of Boogie, like you mentioned, so he's going to be kind of that's who they want being their center of the future, and he's obviously been incredible.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can crack the top 10. I think in order for him to do that, he'll have to play every game starting like as soon as he gets back.
At least 32 minutes a game.
Yeah, even then, I don't know if it's enough, but I feel like he's worth a shout out. Other than that, there really wasn't anyone that I think is going to crack it. I mean, maybe if, the Celtics players play really bad, maybe like Tobias or Gordon Hayward could sneak in there. But I really, besides for the ones we mentioned, I can't really see much movement.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Cool. Well, hey, I think that kind of wraps up our episode today. So next week, we're going to talk about the centers. We'll talk more on risers, fallers, who we want. We'll try to throw in some buy low advice as well. So check out for that. We're going to do it in 2 parts again, just to kind of space out the videos. We didn't want to post like a long 30, 40-minute video and have to have you guys go through that. So we're going to break it up into 2 days. As always, follow us on Twitter. Our Discord channel will be in the bio. And thank you guys for watching. You guys have any closeout things to say?
Go Bucks.
Go Blazers. Let's go.
I'm not even going to talk about my team. All right, guys.
Dalla got snubbed as an all-star starter.
I want my team to lose. Let's tank for Cade, All right, guys. Thank you very much.